Good evening. Welcome to the March 5th, 2026 pre-council agenda meeting. Thank everyone for joining us here this evening. Immediately following the agenda meeting, we will take a short break and then there will be a presentation of the 2026 State of the City address. So if you want to hang out with us a little bit longer when we're finished, that'll last about 15 minutes or so. Just as a reminder, if you'd like to address the City Council pertaining to a particular agenda item, please sign in at the podium under the appropriate agenda item and state your name and address and who you represent. This evening, I've asked Brett Kirkman to lead us in our invocation and David Morris to lead us in our pledge. Please stand.
Let us pray. Father, thank you so much for beautiful weather today and the many blessings we all receive. Thank you for your continued blessings on the city of Searcy. Father, pray that you help the council maintain wisdom and thoughtful thinking and temperament as we make decisions based for the business decisions for the city, and as we spend the money that belongs to our neighbors and friends and citizens here at Searcy. Pray that we do that in a meaningful and purposeful way for the benefit of all. Thank you again for this group and the continued blessings for the mayor and the staff as they work hard for all of us. All these things we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in reciting the 31 short words that are so awesome to our nation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Call this meeting to order. We do have one agenda item that failed to make it, and I think it was just a mistake. So we have Miss Amy Burton here with Main Street Searcy to give an update on the Legion Hut. So if it's okay with the council to add that agenda item, Amy, if you're all right, we'll tee you up and let you go first. Does that sound good?
As you all know, we have entered into the next phase of the American Legion Hall project. You all approved a $40,000 match last year for an Arkansas Historic Preservation Program grant of $80,000. So we are ready to get rolling on that project. All of our plans have been approved on the state level, and I'm here today to ask for you all to consider waiving the bidding process for this. We have done this in the past just because it's really more efficient, more cost effective, and a whole lot quicker for us to meet grant deadlines if we're able to use one contractor to either do the work themselves or sub it out, so that Shelley Churchwell and I with the Historical Society, we're not trying to be project managers on top of our regular jobs. So per your request, here's an updated estimate. This is the whole project. This is not just for this grant that we are undergoing. But you all wanted this estimate, I think, with the anticipation, hopefully, that once we meet that $120,000 grant funded project, that the city may have some funds to kick in, and then we can go ahead and finish out this project that we have been working on for 4 years. We would like to get it done so that the city can utilize that property and start generating some revenue off of it. Additionally, as we're piecemealing this work and this project, every time we go, we're at a point now that some of the things that we have done early on in the restoration are going to have to be redone because it's not within a temperature controlled building. The rough-ins have been done for the HVAC, but we still need new units. So it's time for us to get this done. But that's not for a decision for this month. What I'm asking now is that we can go ahead and proceed with the grant, and that you all consider waiving bids, and that we can go with Connell Construction. Patrick has done a great project for Main Street before, actually on the Legion Hall. They're local, they're efficient, He understands the deadlines. We have bid this out in the past, and it was not ideal. It was an out-of-town contractor, and we actually had to get an extension because we were missing deadlines, because it was hard to get that contractor group into Searcy. So that is my request, that we can waive bids so that we can start work immediately, like within the next week ideally.
So Amy, the total estimate right now from Connell is $364,365. That's to complete the project up to
That's
operational.
complete, yes.
And then the grant amount that would go toward this is,
$80,000 from Arkansas Historic Preservation Program with the $40,000 match the council approved last spring.
yeah.
Now, I will say, in the interest of full disclosure, that building was built in 1934. It has been vacant, and again, there's no HVAC system. So I know that the floor joists are gonna have to be replaced. Once we get in there, there may be some prizes. When Patrick did this estimate, he did leave some allowance for some surprises. And so I just want to clarify that this is just a front-end estimate. There's always the risk that maybe more later on, it may be less later on. And this only includes the actual building projects. This does not include the need for like sound system when we go in and need some audio-visual stuff, screens, projectors, anything like that that would be conducive for meetings in that building. And then the furniture. We do have kitchen fixtures, light fixtures, those types of things in here, but as far as tables, chairs, that type of thing, that is something that we would need to calculate on the back end of the project.
Well, I'd like to commend y'all on pursuing grants over many, many years. However, this building needs to be used.
It is time to finish this project,
Yeah.
yes. It's on the National Register of Historic Places, sits right on the courthouse square. It's unique rock structure in our downtown district, and we really would like to see it finished.
Questions from the council?
No, but I would like to say that, thank you for what you've done. And also the first money spent was donation and a little bit from the city, I think $6,000 from the city council, or from the city, and the rest was donations, and that was for a new roof, and that was in 2020.
Yeah.
So we have been piecing this together with grant money and a little A&P money and a little bit from the city from matching funds for six years.
Yeah,
And I agree, it's time to finish this project.
yeah.
With this estimate, we've got 80,000 grand, city's already promised 40,000, that's 120. We still have $250,000 to really finish the project.
More or less correct.
Okay. Well, I'm like everyone else, we gotta get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's the potential to generate revenue off of that space as well.
So is the specific request right now just to waive the bids?
Correct, so
For-
that we can go ahead and start the work for the hopefully final phase of the Legion Hall. So if the bids can be waived, then we can go ahead and get going on this, and then you'll see me back in front of the council, maybe in a few months, maybe next quarter after that, and then we'll address what needs to be done, have an even more updated estimate, and proceed with how to finish out this project.
Who's the recipient of the grant funds? Is it the city or?
The city, yes. As a public, or as a city-owned building, the application was written on behalf of the city.
I'd like the opportunity to discuss with Mr. Lane, I've got a concern about, I don't know that you can waive bidding on a capital investment of $120,000. That's one of the specific exemptions, and that was one of the things that we discussed in the audit process last year. So you can waive bidding,
Right.
and then the procurement statute, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Mark, but it's in the $55,000 range.
Yeah,
And it's got an inflation deal in it, but I will certainly report back to you in advance of Tuesday night, but I'm pretty confident that you may have a problem waiving competitive.
That was something that was brought up this last go-around with legislative audit, yeah.
And is that applicable, Mr. Moore, even if it's like a historic building, property? Okay.
Well, let's do this. If the council's okay to move this agenda item forward, between now and then, Will can get back with us on more information on the bidding
Okay.
requirements. Does that sound good?
That sounds good. And
Right.
then if that is the case, and I'll get with Patrick Connell about this, perhaps on some of the larger projects, you would have to sub out, maybe you could still serve as project manager, and then maybe the city could pay directly some of the subs, if that might work.
No, that's
No.
precisely what we
Got it.
discussed.
Okay. Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
the Legion Hut's a crown jewel in downtown Searcy and historic. I agree with what Mr. Rainey and Mr. Cardinal said. We need to move forward with this.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We'll do a
Let's
little
move-
homework.
Let's move it to Tuesday night, and we'll wait for the information on bids.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Appreciate you. Okay, you'll notice that the agenda format's a little bit different. We're now using the new Civic Clerk system, so it groups it by discussions, resolutions, and ordinances, so.
Did everyone get a copy of that bid sheet? I ended up with two. They stuck
We need one more down here.
Okay, there it is, right there.
All right, under discussions, item number 1, set a public hearing for the application for a private club permit by Cheddar Scratch Kitchen for April 9th, 2026.
Move it to Tuesday night.
Thank you. And then item number 2, a presentation by our Parks and Rec Department.
Okay, first of all, thank you for giving us some time to talk to you tonight. It's been a long time coming, a lot of work's been put into this. It's a big slideshow, so I'll try to get through it as quick as possible, just for everyone's sake. There's a lot of information in here. You're the council, you can ask whatever questions you want, whenever you want. But hopefully some of the following slides, like before, will answer the questions you may have on some current ones. Some of these slides you have already seen before, but we're just refreshing everybody. We all knew that when we did this bond project, that it was gonna cost money, so tonight we're here to kind of help you understand how much it's gonna cost us to operate once everything's up and running. Damon was gonna be here to help me present tonight, but he's playing Mr. Mom, his wife is out of state, so he's in Benton with his son. But Derek is here with me tonight, so he's gonna help me with any questions that y'all might have. So I'm gonna try to do the presentation, answer any questions, and then he's also here to help answer any that we may have at the end.
Hey, Mike, real quick, as we get into it, you want to go ahead
Sure,
and
sure.
introduce?
So, Damon is now fully assistant director, and so we have backfilled him with Bill Bailey. I know some of you know Bill, but this is Bill Bailey. He's our recreation manager now, so not only will he run baseball and softball, but he will oversee our program coordinators as well.
Bill, it's good to have you on board.
Thank you. And Bill is recently retired from RDOT. He's with us now, and he seems to be enjoying it, so. But to start off.
What, has he enjoyed retired or being with us?
Oh, there you go. I will start off saying, we're not asking for any money tonight. We're just kind of giving you a heads up what's coming, and this is not the final. Some of this could tweak and change before we open up, hopefully next spring. But, so just kind of give you a quick overview of what we're gonna be talking about. First, we're gonna look at revenue projections and expense projections, and then kind of talk about the overall net cost of the general fund. Personally, I wish I could just go to the last slide and show you that one and we'd be done. Might drop it and kind of walk off. But obviously you need to know how we got to where we're gonna get to. So in our thought process, the last slide is the most important slide. So don't let some of the numbers scare you right now.
Hey, Mike, let me, just for everybody's sake who's here in the audience and also those that are watching online, so this pertains to the new Searcy projects,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Community center, water park, all the various programs associated and the
Yes, sir.
operating costs,
Yes, sir.
right? And so we have estimated operating costs. We also have estimated revenue to offset those things. So that's what this presentation is
Yes, sir.
for.
Staffing, the whole 9 yards. Once we're up and running, we're hoping this is the largest we'll see of what we're gonna need from the general fund. Hopefully, it gets smaller over the years. So if you wanna jump to the next one, Derek, these are our revenue projections. So we are projecting that our revenue is gonna go to right around a little under 1.8 million per year. And if you look under that, you have a revenue stream of where we came up with that number. Our top 3, the memberships, the outdoor aquatics, and the community center, obviously are 3 big ones. And over the next few slides, we're gonna break that down and show you how we got those numbers. So if I go too fast, let me know and slow down, we can go back to one. I think you should all have these in your packet as well. So if something comes to your mind later on, next week, feel free to call me, come on my office, reach out to me. So you go to the next one. So it's kind of breaking down the numbers. We're projecting total about 1,800 monthly memberships. Personally, I think we're gonna have more than that, but we didn't want to overshoot too. So what that means is when we talk about memberships, those are reoccurring monthly memberships. Those do not include your day passes, and those aren't just necessarily individuals. That's your families, family 6, family 4, family 2. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about memberships. Like your day passes, those aren't included in that number. We've got these numbers because we benchmarked from other cities. If you look kind of just to the top right, you can kind of see where Benton and Cabot both are. Let's see. So we're anticipating obviously about $400,000 revenue on outdoor aquatics, $160,000 on the community center. And that's being a little conservative just for another benchmark. If you look at Cabot on their outdoor aquatics, last year made about $500,000. So, I mean, we're trying to be as conservative as possible.
Mike, what's the amount of a membership?
We are getting to that.
Okay,
And those are not set in stone yet either, so.
I guess I could do the math on it.
Remember, okay, so we want to go to that, actually, it's the next slide, so membership and day pass. What we have here are 3 different options. So you're going to have your community center only, your indoor aquatics only, or your bundle package, which will be both. So for instance, you have your men and women that do water aerobics at the pool. They might have no interest on joining the community center, so they can have the indoor aquatics. And you might have some people that just enjoy playing basketball, pickleball, walking, or working out, don't know what to do with swimming. They have that option, or you can do the bundle package and do both. The outdoor aquatics, which we'll get to that slide here in a second, is not included in your membership. It is a separate fee. It is going to be a $10 admission per person unless you're a member. And the members will get a $5 discount, hoping that will drive the memberships up also. And then city employee will have a membership no charge, but obviously they'll still have to pay for the outdoor aquatic pass. Obviously, these are just our suggestions to y'all too, so we have some time before all this goes into place. So these numbers are not set in stone, but we'll get to the next slide and we'll kind of show you where we came up with numbers, because we had to have a starting point. Yes, sir.
I have a question, I guess, about the no membership charge for city employees. You know, this is totally a community involvement and funded by the total community. And I just wonder if we're not gonna have some backlash on city employees getting free membership. What difference does it make where you work, you know?
Correct.
We could pick out other entities to give free memberships to, or no free memberships. I really think we ought to think about that.
And we reached out to a handful of communities, and some do both, some do both. Benton, their director has to pay if they want to use the workout facility there. Cabot, their employees get it for free. So every city's going to be different. That's just a decision that we're going to have to make.
I would like to see everyone treated the same.
Okay. All right, and so the next slide kind of shows you where we came up with those fees and other cities. I mean, we're right on par, if not a little cheaper than some. again, these numbers aren't set in stone, they could be adjusted. You never wanna raise a price as soon as you open, better off to drop it than to raise one. We just raised our prices at the swim center in the first time in 7 years. It went over really well. We actually had a very big boost in membership because of that. But if you want to take a look at the other comparison benchmarks, we're pretty close on everything. Individual, family, outdoor aquatics. Again, ours is going to be cheaper because we're doing the member discount. If you remember, you get $5 off. And again, like I said, this is all in your packet, so it's a lot of information I'm going to give you. So take it and digest it. Feel free to reach back out to me. You all know where my office is. You all have my phone number. Derek, you want to jump to the next one, please, sir? And then this is just kind of showing why we split up and doing what we're doing with membership. If you look at Cabot, Bryant, Jacksonville, Clarksville, their membership includes their indoor pool and their community center. Where the X's are the benchmarking communities that do not include the water park in theirs. Bryant doesn't have an outdoor water park, they have a pool, but it's still not included in their membership. The only city that includes it is Batesville, and that's kind of, because of the way that facility is designed, it would be really hard to have a separation there. What's that? Yeah, it is the only city out of all of our benchmarks that is not doing the way that we're supposed to do it. Okay, so we are trending in the right way already. Our 2025 budgeted revenue, we anticipated to be $571,000. Our actual revenue we brought in was $799,000, which is a 40% increase. Our projected revenue for a full year of operation, not next year, but a full fiscal year of being in operation with all our facilities, we're looking at bringing in a little under $1.8 million.
So that would be a 2028 projection, right?
Yes, sir. That's what I would say. That to be safe, yes. And a big reason for that is we had great numbers at the pool this year and the ball fields. So first of all, thank y'all for giving us the support, the trust, the money, the equipment to upkeep the facilities we have, to have the staff that we need to do it, and we obviously are showing you that we're being as responsible as we can with the money you've given us and the equipment, because we've increased 40% just last year.
Well, I know Damon's not here, we've said this before, but y'all done a great job, and Derek, thank you for your help with all this, but we've seen tremendous increase with Parks and Recreation services and revenue across the board.
We got it. We're going to good team. So now, this is where Damon Wood took over, because he likes asking for money, so we're gonna go into the expenses. Now remember, don't be frightened by this, there's good news coming at the end, I promise. So, just to kind of give a quick rundown, and then we'll break these down real quick for you. We're projecting that our expenses are gonna be a little over $4.4 million. We've broken it down into pretty much three main categories: staffing, utilities, and operations and programs. So for our next few slides, we're going to show you how we came up with those numbers. So total staffing costs, we kind of went over this with you before, but at that time we did not have benefits included with the full-time people and the full-time staff. So this is your breakdown. Your 22 full-time employees with benefits, then you have your part-time labor contract for the aquatics, part-time labor contract for the community center, ball fields / programs. And when I say programs, I mean like adult softball, basketball, we're grouping all of those together. And then for the Rialto Black House and other programs that we're running in the community center. And then the next slide, just a quick, again, this is, y'all seen this before, this is just our org chart that we're hoping to get. We'll go to the next one. Utility costs. So total utility costs, we obviously can't give you an exact number, but we can get pretty close. So $380,000 is our breakdown, and you can see where that number came from with those things listed. And then to have some benchmarks, I know when we spoke to the mayor, he wanted to see some benchmarks of other cities and what community center is a little tough one for us, so what we did is we took the square footage of the Carmichael, multiplied or divided that into the square footage of the new community center, came up with a price on that, and then bumped it up a little bit, because obviously we'll be using, probably guarantee we'll be using more, utilities in the community center than the Carmichael. We don't plan on having any empty rooms sitting around all the time. We're gonna be program filled, packed all the time. So that's where we got those numbers. And just to give you an idea on the size of the community center, Carmichael's about 17,000 square foot. If you count upstairs and downstairs in the community center, it's a little over 101,000 square feet. So it's almost 6 times the size of the Carmichael. And then it's future operations cost, 1.357. And what we talk about when we talk about future operations cost is your janitorial supplies, your concession supplies, your facility maintenance, your facility insurance, your baseball uniforms, your awards, pretty much anything that's on the budgets that y'all approve for just general operations is what is included here. Alright, so we're down to the last two. Wait, yes. The net cost of the general fund. So future expenses. This is just kind of a snapshot of all overall future expenses compared to future revenues. Future expenses 4.4, future revenues almost 1.8. Net cost of the general fund is going to be 2.7. So the cost recovery rate for going into our first year is 40%. The national average for Parks and Rec of our size is 27. So keep that in mind, and we'll go to this last slide, where it compares current and future. So right now we're currently at about a 29% cost recovery rate. Still a little over national percentage, but on our first year we're hoping to be at a 40% cost recovery rate. So our expenses are going to increase by about 1.49 million, but our revenue is going to increase at least $931,000. So the net cost of the general fund overall, after all being said and done, $557,432 without any sponsorships currently. So hopefully with some sponsorships, our numbers being conservative, we have big numbers, that 557 is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And I know, talking to different people that were standing on the corners pushing for the bond to pass, what I've heard from them is this is about a third of what we're anticipating originally, of what it was going to cost to run everything when it gets done. So in our minds, this is a huge win. For everything that we're going to get $90 million plus bond money, it's going to cost us an extra $557.
Yeah, what you're referring to is when we first underwent the preliminary due diligence, spoke to different communities,
Yes.
had a projection of operations of around $1.5 million, right?
Yes.
And so we've kind of protected that net whenever we go into budgeting the past few years in anticipation. So this is a lot better than that 1.5.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I know when we made the presentation to the mayor beforehand that he was getting a little nervous till he saw this last slide. So that's why we kind of threw the one up front to kind of give you a warning. It will get better when you see it. Jason has seen these numbers himself also. I feel he's comfortable with them. But we obviously know their city council and run the city, so we want to make sure y'all are comfortable too. So if y'all have any questions and I can't answer them, I'm there to help. be 100% cost recovery, but going from 27 to 40 our first year, I think is 29 to 40, I think is a good step, first step.
Also, one thing that's impressive, and I've been impressed with this just across the board, not just in Parks and Recreation, is just the cooperation of other municipalities and the openness to work together and to share how they do things, the expenses, the revenue, their facilities. But definitely in this process, it's been months in the works, but it's been open book across the state, and that's always a really neat thing. Just, there's not a competitive nature. I know when you're working toward hosting events and in tournaments, you know, communities are in a little bit of competition, but as far as providing this information, it's been open book.
Got a
So.
call from the Maumelle Assistant Director yesterday asking about how this is going, and he was excited for us. He lives here in Searcy,
Yeah.
and was asking me about how this is going, he was excited. So I don't think we've had problems reaching out to any municipality. I mean, there was a couple that are just, they're hard to get hold of, but one way or another, we're able to get the numbers. Big kudos to Derek, he did a ton of legwork on this stuff, so.
Any other questions for this evening from the council?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good work. All right. More presentation, good information coming from Richard Stafford on the My Searcy projects.
Good evening, everybody. All right, so we'll run through our projects real quick. So our South Bay projects, we're pretty much now under construction on all 4 phases of the South Bay project. So with the beginning in earnest of the soccer complex improvements and the aquatics over on the east side of Maine, we are really underway on everything. Our Vernon Jones, who's our baseball, softball subcontractor, is mobilizing next week to begin in earnest on the baseball field, so we'll really start seeing construction happen over there. The community center itself, since y'all have been out there, those that you were able to make it, we have a retaining wall poured, which is super exciting. So you can see the north side and the south side of the ramp going up into the building, as well as our first slab was poured this week. So we actually have a floor. So we're really excited to see the first floor, and it's the wing that's got our meeting space wing. And so getting able to see the actual size of it was pretty impressive and exciting to see. So super exciting about that. We are about to, if anybody asks, if you get any phone calls, close off the soccer complex. There's still some folks that like to walk out there on the paths. The contractors were kind of surprised about how many people can actually go out there and just walk on the paths during the day. But just for their safety, safety of the construction site, we're about to close all that off in the playground over there to really begin working in earnest on the soccer complex as well. So.
Hey, Richard, real quick, tomorrow, the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, they're making a site visit, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna mention, I know that some council members have had the opportunity to come out before, but not everybody was able to, so I'm sure that y'all can just come on, right?
Yeah, there's a group going at it.
I'd probably say, yeah, about 12:30,
Yeah,
12:30, 12:40.
we'll have a group out, so if any of y'all.
Hopefully it's not raining.
Yeah.
Bring boots.
Yeah.
Bring your boots, it'll
Yeah.
be muddy. Thanks, Matt, that was great. So our Little Red Greenway connections designs have been, we're still waiting on the responses from RDOT, so we have been talking about how we want to go out through that bid process, if we want to bid each of the tunnels, the crossings separately, individually, if we want to bid them as a package. We're also starting to talk about, we're almost midway through this thing, so we've got time concerns to think through, so how that might best work, or potentially even going the CM route and having somebody come in and manage all 3, the construction of 3, all at once. So starting to work through that, because we're just around the corner, I think, to start taking those to bid in some form or fashion. So excited about that. Berry Hill Park, if you've been out there, we are almost done. It is looking really, really good. Pretty much all that's left for the playground company is the rubberized surface. You'll see some piles of gravel for that goes under the rubber surfacing. So you need to put that down. Unfortunately, that is a weather-dependent item, so the rain might slow us down a little bit, but it needs to be dry and warm. Luckily, we're warm right now, so hopefully we can get some weather. That should get finished. We're looking at potentially some sort of ribbon cutting event the first part of April for the park. So really, really, really excited about the stuff going on up there.
Hey, Richard, real quick on Berry Hill, this is not part of the bond project, but I know Bear's here too. There's quite a few questions from the public on the courts being resurfaced. As far as the timing of that, can we just give a quick update, just so people know, since that does pertain to Berry Hill?
Yeah, that's gonna start in May. Do we have a date in May? 11th? Roughly May 11th. And we'll have to shut those courts down completely, to completely close those. And then we have to stay off those, for a while until we can open those back up. So
And-
2 weeks, 2 weeks.
And again, just for the public's sake, so the finish of the existing courts did not meet expectations. This is under warranty. There's no additional cost. The contractor's making it right.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You betcha. Also, not part, I've been adding the Carmichael and Yancey Park into our updates, not even though they're not bond projects, but same goes for them. Very near completion. Weather's has been holding us up a little bit, but they've been working a little bit over at Yancey. You'll see that those of you who thought we might be building a big giant swimming pool, they filled in that big hole with some gravel, started to compact that down for the basketball courts, if you remember, on that. So that's a post-tension slab, the same type of slab that's on the tennis courts. So that's another weather-dependent type of bore, but we're hoping that that's gonna get done pretty quick. They've moved over, or about to move over, the canopy. Remember, we had the existing canopy over at Berry Hill that we're gonna use for the dog park. So they're forming up and about to pour the slab of the canopy and erect the canopy over at the Carmichael. So that'll be exciting to see once that one's up. So Riverside Park, so we got a lot of things with Riverside Park, this go around. So this week, our design team met, and they presented the final master plan, with everything, including pricing, this week, for each of the items. It's a large number, and it's exciting to see though, having costs associated with all of those fundings, we think that this park could really be, not just amazing for Searcy, but an amazing tool for the state to bring people from all over, to come visit the state. I can't just reiterate enough, the excitement and the interest that there is in the state with Riverside Park and the potential that it really has. So, we did, having this number, this is a large number, but it's a number, it's something that we can work towards and strategize moving forward about how we can potentially get this done and what type of partnerships we could potentially do to get it done. But our next meeting will be an internal meeting next week to kind of flesh out, let some of that soak in, look at this first phase, exactly make sure that we're meeting exactly what we promised the public with this first phase, our $5 million from the bonds. We will build the trails, but what are the other things? We have the cost of the entrance and some of the other items, just making sure that we're delivering what we promised with the bond monies, and then see kind of what's remaining and strategize kind of where we want to go from this point with this initial investment. So if you've been out there, trails are under construction wholeheartedly. I'm pretty amazed how much they've already cut in out there. They've cut in quite a bit down from, if you're familiar with Riverside, the new entry close, like basically from the dam all the way up the river. They put in a lot of trail up by going up towards the boat ramp. So a lot of trails already being cut in there. They're moving really quick on some of the easier trail first. And he said we'll start slowing down once we start constructing bridges and crossings and things like that. But so we're in full-fledged trail construction mode out there, but that's very exciting. We're starting to talk through a way to communicate with the public, to keep people off of the trails. It's really important, just again, for safety of the, and just upkeep of the trail, to stay off those trails until they're completed and open. There's a lot of compacting that we do out there. They build these large berms that you kind of bank. And anyways, there's just a lot of compacting that needs to be done, and we want to keep people off and keep people safe as well. So we're working on potentially some signage and some QR codes that can link to some, ways where people could go and hike out there safely, but also hopefully keep people out of the areas that are under construction. So starting to work through that process, because I was out there Monday, I got really excited, and I emailed the mayor and I was like, we're gonna have a hard time keeping people off these trails because they look really awesome. And then, as I mentioned before, last thing I was going to mention about Riverside, as we talked about with the presentation when Otis and EGG were here, I had mentioned towards the end that we're beginning to really take this opportunity to rebrand, rename a park. As we mentioned before, there's, over the years, there's kind of a negative connotation with Riverside, but then also just the fact that if you just start looking up just Google Riverside Park, and ours probably won't come up because there's so during the presentation, this past time, they gave us kind of what they call the brain dump of names. It was a sheet of, I don't know, like 30 names, and just said, hey, there's just some that we just came up with to consider. So the plan that we kind of came up with in that meeting was they were going to kind of narrow that down. There maybe their top 10. Then we look at it and potentially share, since we have a committee already formed that's looking at the community input from the names for the community center, sharing that list with that committee, and then potentially narrowing it down to give a recommendation to the council for a new name and branding, if that's a good way to go. So I think that's all I got. So any other questions on any of the bond projects or any of those projects?
Richard, any pricing, new update on adding the 3 fields to form the Clover?
Yes.
So, okay. Never mind.
It's about, I mean, with the infrastructure, the parking and everything, it's about 2 million per field. So it's about 6 to add the 3.
I remember it started out like at 150,000, and now it's 2 million.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
But that's not just for the fields, that's for the
Right.
infrastructure, the
Right.
parking, yeah, so there's a lot of additional expenses in there. But at least we have an idea.
I do want to thank Harding for letting us use their field
Yes.
for soccer. That's a
We,
blessing.
yeah, that's something that came up. We knew that we were gonna interrupt the spring season. We really wanna try to be done for fall. We know that's the big season. So, we got with the soccer association pretty early, to try to work out. I think they're gonna use the Pee Wee field. Is that right? They're just gonna
They're
draw.
using the high school soccer field as well as all the Harding intramural softball fields.
So it's great to see some of the other
Mhm.
entities help step up while we're having a facelift done.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Anything
Anything else on
else?
this one?
Good stuff. All right, you're still on
Yeah,
deck.
I think I got 4 straight.
Yeah, so item number 4, planning commission appointments.
So we have a couple of that we did reach out and talk to. Unfortunately, I don't have a confirmation yes for them yet. So I don't have a letter of recommendation from the mayor for you guys for planning commissioners. Hoping to have that by Tuesday though. If you'll just allow us to maybe advance it to Tuesday and get you a letter of recommendation for Tuesday night.
We gotta move that forward for next. Okay, thank you. Item number 5, selection of a qualified firm for planning services for Little Red Greenway System, the RAISE grant, and authorization for the mayor to negotiate a contract.
Yeah, so we put out, if you remember right, we put out our RFQs for the RAISE project, and we got all of one response, which was our friends at Craft and Toll. At first I thought, this is a huge project, we're gonna get a ton of responses, this is gonna be a hard decision. Going through this process as many times as I've gone through it now, the first thing these big companies especially do is they scrub everything there is to know about Searcy. And so I think once they saw the application that Craft and Toll helped us with and all the work that they've done with this, we've had several letters of folks and conversations with some of these firms that said, hey, we would love to work with y'all in Searcy at some point in time, but we're not gonna submit an application for the raise. And I think that's really why, but Craft and Toll is the one that submitted. Of course, they are the ones that helped us secure the grant in the first place. I'm super excited to work with those folks again on this project. So our committee didn't have a lot of work to do, but to recommend that we select Craft and Toll on our RAISE grant project for the design of our Little Red Greenway system, and then ask for permission for the mayor to negotiate a contract with them to bring to you next month.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6, approval of a change order for Yancey Park and the Carmichael project. And then, Jason, you had a note in here, this will be added to the budget adjustment ordinance if it's moved forward.
So this is an ad that's come up that we're requesting. So one of the things that we removed at Ferry Hill Park, you may or may not remember, it was a sensory trail. It's one of those that has the little equipment, the musical equipments and the sound devices. So that project was actually funded with First Security Bank employees. So the employees picked kind of a project that it's like a pedestal where you can put pages of a book, and as you walk down the pathway, you can like read a book as you go down the path. And so, as we were talking through some of the improvements to the park, what we were hoping to do was to create a walk off of the main trail. If you're out to Yancey, a lot of people use the trail as a walking trail, so they're getting their steps, doing their laps, and all of that. And so what we'd like to do is create a secondary trail off the playground and off that main trail to put our sensory equipment, or relocate First Security sensory equipment over there, with even some room for expansion if they wanted to add to that equipment. And then also an offshoot off that would build the storybook walk, which would go basically to the bridge that's over by the long parking lot at the library. So the storybook walk there at Yancey across from the library makes a lot of sense. But what we'd like to do is get it off the main trail, build us a secondary little trail for those two elements. This change order, my screen is totally blank.
So 38.5.
Just 38.5 that would be a change order for Wooster Construction to add that to our Yancey Park project if the council is willing to do so. But that's what that's for, is to build basically a serpentine walk for those two.
So the sensory equipment was donated through First Security fundraising, and then the story walk, whatever stands, that's through a grant, so this is just for the trail portion.
Correct. And we would reinstall the equipment ourselves. We have it stored away.
And just coming out of unappropriated reserve.
Yes, it'd just be another project.
I say we move it to Tuesday night.
Thank you. All right, Richard, you get a break.
Correct.
Item number 7, petition to vacate a street or alley or road. I have down Bud Gibson's with us. Mark, you can contribute as you want to as well.
May it please the council, Bud Gibson on behalf of the petitioners, Justin and Rachel Lavender. Simple alley closing in between, it's a long block between Academy and Cherry, Birch and Pear. There's a 20-foot alley from the original plat that's never been opened. We have approvals from the relevant utility providers along with the consent of the landowners. And while I kept my municipal fires stoked by appearing in front of you tonight, this is a fairly straightforward event, and would be here to have you answer any questions. What we're asking tonight is for a public hearing to be set. We'd ask that this be advanced, and would I be correct in assuming that the next city council meeting would be the time for the public hearing, and then to advance the ordinance to abandon that ballot?
So public hearing request for the April meeting.
That's correct. And we would be responsible for publication of the notice once a week. Of course, it's going to be once a daily citizen for 2 weeks.
I drove out there to try to find it. I told Mark, I said I couldn't even find it. So I guess it's just in between houses.
There are many, again, as I'm sure some of the real estate professionals in the audience or on the council can even say, there are these alleys that are platted across largely the older parts of our community. This is actually in a dividing line between 2 additions to the city of Searcy, 2 subdivisions. It's simply a 20-foot alley. It's never been opened. And at the closing, that 20 feet would then go to the adjoining landowners at the midpoint. And in fact, there are already structures in that area now.
And all the landowners have signed.
They consented, and we also have consents from the utilities.
Okay. So they move forward.
Thank you, Bud.
Pear doesn't go any farther north than Arch, does it?
It does.
I mean, actual street, there is some,
It does. It's
Okay.
between Pear and Birch. It's north of Race Street. It's
Okay,
about 6
way-
blocks that way, about 4
way out.
blocks that way.
but there are some skips in Pear.
I believe that's correct, but this is
Yeah.
north of
Farther,
Race.
okay.
I think that the skips in Pear, where Pear doesn't extend, is actually, I believe, south of Race Street. I could be wrong on that, but again, Pear is, again, I do have a survey that shows where Pear is, but there's nothing in this particular alley.
Good.
Mr. Gibson, I find it interesting that on the old survey I'm looking at that was dated 100 years ago.
I saw it.
But all the north-south streets are numbered streets, 8th, 7th, 6th, and they obviously over the years got changed.
I was gonna say, I think they've been changed.
Sal and Birch and others took their place.
That's, Mr. Morris, that's correct. I mean, this is a very old part of the platted additions to the city of Searcy. I believe that the two additions that this lies between are the Moore's addition and the Sanders addition. So,
Move it forward, Charlie.
Thanks, Bud.
I don't plan to be here on Tuesday. Again, if there are any issues, that I ask that you all contact us. We will prepare the public notice for the city council meeting in April. If there are no further questions,
Logical thing to do.
couldn't agree more. Thank you much.
Thank you. All right, item number 8, an update on the sanitation Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah, so in your packet, you've got a copy of a recent opinion from the Arkansas Supreme Court. I don't have a whole lot for tonight. This is more to put it on your radar that these discussions are swirling, not just with Searcy, but with towns all over the state. It's specifically related to Holiday Island. The city operates under the Arkansas Waste Management Act, which allows the city to have exclusivity over trash collection. This Supreme Court decision does go to some extent to overturn some of those exclusivity rights the cities have. Hot Springs deal with the same thing. So the impetus for you receiving this tonight is we have received demands from people that operate roll-off dumpster companies that have insisted that we amend our ordinance to not allow, or to allow someone else to conduct business, specifically roll-off business in the city. Same thing's happening in Hot Springs, it's happening around, working actively with the municipal league and their litigation team to kind of come up with a recommendation. Don't have that yet, but I want you guys to have this so that you can read it. The early returns are that the Holiday Island situation is different than the Searcy situation. Holiday Island contracts out their waste management services. They do not provide those services themselves. There are cities like Hot Springs who have chosen to take the path of least resistance and avoid conflict and have chosen to amend their ordinance to allow for roll-off service from other commercial providers. There are cities that have chosen not to do that. The municipal is actively working on what a legislative fix might be to this. So more to come there. I'll bring back more information as it's available. There's been quite a bit of email traffic with the municipal league. I've had a phone call with them. The mayor's seen some of that. Happy to answer any questions I can right now. More or less, this is to get on your radar. I would also say that when we bring it back to you, probably with more discussion, Todd and I have talked about how much of our sanitation revenue is derived from roll-off services. It's a material number. That's also your highest margin revenue. So that helps subsidize keeping your residential service as cheap as it is in Searcy. So it's a serious conversation to have. It's probably a no fun conversation to have. But the mayor, myself, we'll get with Todd, we'll get back some numbers, some kind of, and it's not a gross, we have it or we don't have roll-off service. There would be some net of it. We would not lose 100% of roll-off business.
Right.
So, happy to answer any questions right now. This is just kind of to get it on your radar that these tough discussions and contemplations are coming in relation to sanitation services.
And it's not just specific to Searcy, as you said.
No, it's,
Okay. And municipality's helping work through that, so we'll provide more information as it comes available. Any questions for now? Thanks for putting that on the radar, Will. If not, then we'll move forward to item number 9, sanitation pricing updates. Todd, you want to come share with us?
Not a whole lot. We are adding another option to the roll-off box
Thanks, Todd. So in your packets, you'll see that the price for a 30-yard pool would be $469 per pool, right?
Exactly half the, I took a 20 and a 40 and divided it right there, and come up with that price. So,
And these prices are tied to an ordinance, so it would take an ordinance update. Is that accurate? Which we'll just,
How many 30-yard bins do you have?
we've got 5 orders, so this would give us about 8 altogether. They're a good size, they work off a loading dock better. A lot of times a 40 is too tall for small contractors. They like a 30. You can load a 30 out of the back of the trucks, back of a pickup. A 20's awful handy, but it just doesn't hold a lot. It's just a good option for a lot of people.
Mr. Morris?
Todd, if I'm reading the top part correctly with the commas, absolutely no bricks, concrete, dirt, paint, hazardous materials, but roofing materials are accepted, but only fill the bin half full, is that correct?
Yes, and we have weight limitations.
Is that due to weight mainly?
Yes, we have to pay by the ton, and I mean, you can put 18 tons of shingles in a 20-yard, and it can actually cost more to dispose of it than to pick it up, but we kind of took care of that with our overage prices on the ton, so that's not been an issue. You know, usually, we kind of know who those guys are and try to talk to them and keep them coached up on that.
Thank you, sir. Say moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Todd. Well, that was item number 9, so we'll have to have an ordinance update for that sanitation price for Tuesday. Item number 10, authorization to seek bids for traffic signals at Highway 36 and Janet Drive. This is where we've been working toward for quite some time. I think we're at a final review of RDOT. We hope so. So we're coming to the council asking if we can at least go ahead and seek bids so we can have some numbers pending their final approval.
We do not have final approval, but I have talked to the highway department. I think we're probably about there. I think you probably got a thing there, our engineer's estimate on that. $511,500. That is the light, that's the modifications to the actual roadway to widen on there on the north side in particular. We're trying to get Walmart in that entrance off of Park Avenue.
Which their engineers are still looking at how they're gonna stack and all that, but this at least would allow us
This
to.
will allow, what we do here will allow them to add a lane further down and do what, access the way they want to access.
We need that.
So, yeah, this is the city's cost, is this 100% of the cost or just the city's portion?
That's the city's portion, that's the light and some geometric changes to the intersection, widening a little bit, on the north side, and there'll be some minor modifications on the south side.
Yeah, but this, I mean, if we were to wait for RDOT funding, we would be waiting for another 2 to 3 years.
Yes, it's usually about a 3-year wait, and we are having multiple accidents there, serious accidents.
Yeah, I get messages and calls all the time.
It's a dangerous spot.
On the positive, it's being developed very quickly, so sales tax revenues are gonna continue to go up, and that's a critical intersection to accommodate that shopping area.
Yeah, when Target opens, it will be way beyond what we have right now even.
Also, this kind of goes along with this. Mark, can you give an update on the speed limit request we put in?
Yes, I was gonna do that. We asked, RDOT to look at the speed limit there. It is currently 50 miles an hour. We asked them to lower it to 40. They came down, took a look at it, and they've agreed to go to 45 miles an hour.
So it's better.
It's a little better, yes.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Mark. Item number 11, discussion on clerk and treasurer compensation. As everyone knows, that the council approved the splitting of the clerk and treasurer position. We have some interested individuals considering running for clerk, and I'm sure, Jason, you're curious what your salary might be next year too. So anyways, the floor is open for that discussion.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
before we get started with discussing the compensation, we do have adequate office space here in City Hall. Now we split those to
That's correct.
house both.
We've
officers.
shifted some offices around. Jason's office now is where the conference room used to be. And Kim's office is now open. It's a smaller office for the clerk, whoever the clerk might be. And then our conference room is now gonna be all the way at the end of the hall. So yes, to answer your question, yes, we've accommodated so that we would have space.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
I guess I thought we were just talking about the clerk's compensation, so people that were running for that office could know what that salary is. But you want to discuss them both if this,
It's totally up to the council, yeah, what y'all want to discuss
Some of that
at this time.
Was some of that fall under executive?
well, or under, I mean, so we're talking about, if we talk about treasurer, we're talking about Jason, and we're talking about 2027, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, because he's locked till 2027.
That's absolutely right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so just again, to clarify, so the clerk would be an elected position and with a split, and then the treasurer would be an appointed position. And so it would be up to the council again to reappoint Jason or not to reappoint Jason.
Don't get any ideas.
Do we have any idea what other towns pay for a clerk? I mean,
I think it probably, I mean, this is now, would consider this if you're gonna say a part-time position. However, it's really, the duties are dictated by state statute. So I think the amount that the council chooses would kind of help determine the expected amount of time to be spent on those duties. But it doesn't have a traditional job position duty like other personnel would. It just,
But we did describe some of those duties in the ordinance. We
That's right.
adopted to split it. It's been a while since I looked at the code section, but I don't remember seeing anything in there that said city clerk was a part-time position or a full-time position.
Yeah.
It ought to be a full-time position.
well, I guess maybe there's not a work day schedule tied to it. If
Mayor?
that makes
I would
sense.
suggest that, obviously, it's an elected position. So, I mean, just like mayor, city attorney, whatever, whether it be on the county level or county official, you're elected for that position. You're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, basically. I say that with no jest because there's not any real set hours.
That's right.
But part-time versus full-time would mean a difference in insurance and benefits.
Well, I don't know how that works. Again, it's just an elected position that would come with benefits.
It's a municipal officer, it's not an employee.
Yeah.
Those are different things.
And I'm sorry, I even mentioned the word part-time.
So will they qualify for benefits regardless?
That'd be a Kim question. I believe the answer is yes, but I'm not.
Was elected officials,
I get benefits.
you get
Yeah,
benefits.
so I would say
I
probably.
think that's
But
kind
you're
of-
not just considered, well, you are sort of, are you considered part-time? Or-
There's,
I don't get a
yeah.
designation.
You don't,
The mayor could decide today that he doesn't come to the office for the rest of the.
right, right.
Like, it's a part-time, full-time is an employee designation. The municipal officers don't receive that. So the question you're asking is, what should the compensation duty for the statutory obligation?
Well, and no disrespect, my confusion comes from the council being considered part-time, and we're elected. Correct?
You're not, yes, you are. You are a
Yes.
body. That's the third thing. So we have employees, the governing body, and municipal officers. So,
Okay.
so that would be,
Okay, so then the first two are eligible for benefits, but the third is not, correct? I mean, you can purchase it.
I forgot.
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay.
Seriously, if we have a benefits question, I'd rather Kim answer
Sure,
this question.
okay.
I don't
All
know.
right, okay.
Yes, as municipal officers, I think Matt and myself and Jason all currently derive the benefit of being on the health.
Okay.
Yes. y'all splitting the duties does not have a bearing on the eligibility for
Okay.
benefits. Nothing I've read or talked to anybody about this process. I will tell you that I've gotten 2 phone calls from communities that have been contemplating the same thing and been too scared to do it. And they wanted to know how, you know, so I referred them to the same folks that kind of advised us through the deal. And for all the reasons that it's the same exact thing that we dealt with last year, if you remember the flow chart that I gave you guys that we were thinking through. Like, you know, so I say that to say that we made a reasonable, you made a reasonable decision, we ran a reasonable process, they, you know, and that was reflected, they wanted to know how we did it. Now, that also means they're probably watching about how you determine compensation for the clerk, and so when you ask the mayor what everybody else does, you know, there may not be a ton there.
So I'm gonna throw the part-time, full-time concept out the window, pretend that was never stated. I think really what the discussion is what compensation does the council want to set for the statutory requirements of the clerk position, which is an elected position. In Searcy, it was tied to a treasurer, right? And so there was more to do, and now there's less to do than when it was two.
Here's what I would like, or appreciate seeing if we can do. You know, we went through a financial officer process of hiring and everything like that. We know we want to keep this guy right there. And I think we need to go back and review some of that detail, because that's what he's gonna do for us. I would appreciate if you all could contact any other city that has split those positions and see, number one, what duties the clerk was assigned and what kind of salary or compensation is being paid, so we could have that information. I think we've got more than enough information to set our financial officer's salary and benefits and everything. We just need to look at it and everything, but splitting the clerk, you know, I don't know, you know.
Sure, yeah, we can definitely do that. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Our clerk certainly doesn't have as much to do as our last clerk treasurer had, because we split the
Yeah.
duties.
So this may be for Mr. Moore, I don't know. So we could, even though the clerk position would be elected and is whatever word you, officer, we could specify a job description for them and expect them to do that, rather than you made an allusion to somebody just not coming in.
Well,
Sure wouldn't want that,
yes.
but they're,
Yes and no. Their duties are defined by the statute.
But can-
I'll take the mayor, for example. The mayor's duties are assigned by statute.
right.
The elected position is a municipal officer. And I'd also tell y'all too that whatever compensation you decide on, remember that when that person's elected to a 4-year term, you can't vote for it. So you might take that into consideration as when he produces some information for y'all to consider, you know, that would suggest that if you miss on the low end, because you can always go up, but you cannot come down. So I think I'm gonna revise your question and see if
Go
it's
for
additional duties as assigned. Is that kind of, so I wanna go back and read the clerk, like Mr. Rainey said, I haven't read that in a few months. I wanna go back and read the clerk statute. I'm happy to email that out so you can all read it too. Because I think I'm reading into your question, but
Yeah,
hey,
it's-
if it's only X amount of obligation that we wanted to assign for, and bring the compensation up accordingly.
Right,
right?
yeah.
I think when he gets information back to Mr. Rainey, I think that'd be reasonable for us
Okay.
to get you some. Is that
That
fair?
would help, yes, thank you.
We'll ask one other question. Okay, we can't change it for 4 years. Say we get elected a real dud. Hope we don't think we will. But if we do, and that person runs and gets elected again, can we reduce the
Yeah,
compensation?
you can, I think the way that statute reads, it says for the term of office. Oh, I wanna make sure I understood your question. Repeat the last part. I didn't quite, when he said no, it made me think I might have heard you.
We elect a new clerk to do what we designated to do, pay him or her X number of dollars. We don't think him or her are doing their job. They run again and get elected. Can we change the salary for the new 4-year term?
Yeah, it says term of office, with the way the
You would have to do it before the election. though.
Yes.
Yeah, but if we do it before the election, it might,
But you can always raise it, right, like you said.
yeah.
Yeah, that,
So, yeah.
I mean, I think I also share with all of you this, you're not talking about a significant amount of money here. I mean, I think even if you set it too high, you're still not talking about a significant amount of money. So I think it's, the monetary stakes here are probably, the magnitude of the monetary stakes is probably greater than the magnitude of just trying to figure out if you got it right, if that makes sense.
I think the timing is a consideration with those that may be thinking about running for office.
And then something Jason shared with me, I think this is just worth sharing. I don't think you're impacting your budget in a negative way here. I think the monetary stakes are such that the way the clerk treasurer office is currently compromised from a budgetary perspective, I don't think we're talking about new money here. I think the way it will all land, even if you decide to pay Jason a little bit more, I think it all lands within your existing budget. So we just gotta make some decisions that don't have any big monetary swings.
I just appreciate if you all could find out if any other city's done this, how they set it, what they base it on and everything, and then we go to work on the figure.
Okay, we'll get on that homework. Question is, do y'all want this to be discussed further on Tuesday, or do we wanna wait till the April meeting? April.
I was just gonna point out, we need to all bear in mind, this is a very important position. It's a keeper of the records, it's, they prepare the agendas for the meetings, the minutes, the official record keeper, so it is a very important position.
Does it pay more than a council member? I mean,
We don't know yet.
You get a vote.
It would almost have to.
Okay, we'll bring this back in April with some additional info. Thank y'all. Item number 12, request for $39,551.16 from the Act 833 fund to replace 5 expired air packs for the fire department.
Move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Item number 13, approval to utilize $11,000 of the federal drug forfeiture 2026 budgeted funds to acquire a second drug dog for the police department. No budget adjustment required.
Keep our streets safer, I say we move it forward.
Thank you. Brings us to our resolutions section. Item number 14, liens to be certified to the White County Tax Collector against certain properties in the city of Searcy as a result of grass cutting expenses and abatement of other nuisances.
Move forward.
Thank you. Item number 15, abandonment of fully utilized assets in the fire department. Alrighty. 16, abandonment of fully utilized assets in the police department.
Move forward.
Thank you. Item number 17, update on the lighting project. Richard has new information.
Okay, so, just to update everybody, remember we got a grant to update our lights around the city facility with LEDs, and then that also included lights to one of the soccer fields. And that was kind of prior to we really started the projects in earnest. We've all discovered Musco lights and how awesome Musco lights are, and the Parks Department loves the Musco lights. And so we asked if the grant and the company that provided us the contract for the RFP that we put out if we could use Musco lights in place of the lights. And they said, yes, they could, but it would cost us more. And so we asked, how much more would that cost for the one field, and then how much would it be for the 2 fields? And so we brought that to you all last month, and of course the question was, how do we pay for that? And the question was posed, could we use bond funds? And so Mr. Moore and I went down to Little Rock and visited Paul Phillips at Cruise, and just had a great conversation. I think the first thing I'll say is Paul kind of laughed at us as we were
second field?
Well, I had that with me, but I'm having technical difficulties because of the room, but it was somewhere in the 260,000 for both fields. And I would recommend, we floated that number to him, and I would recommend that we do the both fields. That would give us, I think that is well above and beyond what we promised the community in our projects. At the time when we were discussing our projects, we were talking about lighting. We had the two fields lit currently, and then we got a grant to light a third field, which that's when we were introduced to the Musco lights. And then even the two new fields that we're building at the first pricing set didn't have lights, and so we were able to put those within budget. So those will be lit. This would light the field at our sports complex with Musco lights, and so
That's
it
fantastic.
would be, I think it's a huge worthy time to do it is now.
This big old thick agreement is what we're talking about, lighting all over town, and will include the Musco.
Lighting within the city facilities, yes. And then it goes into all of the different buildings and all the different light fixtures in each building that they went through and assessed and did all of that. That's why it's so big. So that would be my recommendation. And on the heels of that, something I'd like to also bring up, and just for you to remember that with the being bond funds, there's no council action that necessarily needs to take for expending those funds. It's just a nod basically from the council to do so. But one thing, as in the conversations we had with Mr. Phillips, and that things are going well, is one thing I'd like to consider is at Berry Hill Park, if you've been out there, which I was out there with Dave, was up in town, we were looking through the playground equipment, and with Bear, we were walking around looking. If you remember right, we came back with a change order. This was kind of before we really knew where we were with the bonds and the projects. And we brought to you a change order request for you all to consider paying for some electrical lights, but then for a pergola over by the
Splash pad.
Splash pad. And so I would like to consider that again, but instead of paying for that out of the general fund, paying that with bond funds. I think with the erection of the playground equipment, if you look and you see out there in the concept of all of the tall poles and stuff through the trees and the pines, both Dave and I, which Dave sent me an email saying, I really think we need this pergola. It's really an entryway feature to that splash pad. It's really kind of bare right there as we go in. There'll be some fencing, but if we had this kind of entry feature with some of that verticality, like is at the other playgrounds, that we really think would be something that I think is a valuable asset or valuable add to the playground itself. And because you all said no to that with your general fund funds, I just would like the opportunity maybe to revisit that with potentially using some of the bond funds to go ahead and add that into the project.
Can we back up and add the storage building too?
Well, I mean, it's part of the Berry Hill Park improvements. We can look and see, we don't have a cost yet. Mr. Hoffman's working on the ad. We can definitely look and see what the cost of that is. It does fall into the, Paul made sure for Will and I to remember that, the ordinance that was passed, it's specific in the things that we can spend funds for, but it's also, especially the sales tax use, when the A&P tax one is a little bit more refined and defined on what we can spend things on, Riverside Park and the aquatics facility. The other one has like kind of a general park improvements and infrastructure that goes along with that. So I do think it would be something that we could visit to use those bond funds for once we have a number.
I would like to do that. One last question on this integrity. This says $178,000. That doesn't include these other lights?
Under the E-integrity, or is that to say the Musco at the top?
Integrity. Lighting installation agreement.
It's the second page of,
I said my computer is getting very serious.
it's the second page of that whole thing.
Yeah, this was tied to the grant, so we don't pay, all of those funds are paid through the grant. The only thing we would be paying is the additional monies for the Musco lights, because that was not part of the original grant application. That was just gonna be an LED fixture swap out, but the rest of the sum of that
say we move that forward to Tuesday night, but I would like for y'all to come back and let's talk about adding those three things to Berryhill Park with the bond.
I will say the pergola is like time sensitive. Like I was hoping to try to get a price for it, exact price for it today, but it's gonna be surface mounted. We're needing to order it. If we want to do it, this is the time to do it. That's why I wanted to bring it to you today. We can definitely look at the storage building. It's not something that we have to type all of those improvements together. We can still talk about that being used as the bond funds. Like I said, it doesn't take any specific council action to utilize those bond funds. It's just, as long as it meets what the ordinance says we can spend those funds for, and we have the funds, then we can use that. So
Would you have that figure by Tuesday night? Not
the pergola, we could, yeah.
So Richard, just to be clear, for item number 17, lighting project contract, is there any council action that we're,
Yes, we need the council to authorize the signature of the resolution to enter into the agreement with Integrity Lighting.
okay. So that's moving forward. And then in, I guess, addition to that, we'll just bring up the topic
And that
on
doesn't-
Tuesday about this addition, the pergola and then the Musco lights.
No,
No, just the pergola.
pergola.
Okay,
Musco Lights is, we're gonna pay for that with
we're good to go.
yes.
Okay.
So, and like I said, then that does not take a council action per se, just, I know you all had said you didn't want to spend the monies, and I don't want y'all to see it.
Say, where did that come from? Right,
So,
okay. Thank you.
I think the biggest thing, go ahead, ask a
No.
question.
No.
I was kind of.
No, mine's comedy at its finest.
The biggest thing, like, that I want to reiterate was how encouraging it was to hear from Paul, who does this with communities around the state and beyond, to say, this is a shout out to him, and Paul wouldn't accept it, but I'll give him a compliment, how well prepared and planned everything's been. It's a shout out to our general contractors on all projects for getting them in the budget, getting our timing right when we issued the bonds. So, obviously, I think we've been blessed in a lot of ways and getting some help from above, but the people that are boots on the ground making it happen, it was really encouraging. And I asked Paul the same questions, hey, are we doing this right? Is this how it works? And he grinned real big, he's like, you are doing great, you're in a great spot. He didn't tell us, but he's like, I got specific examples where that's not the case, they're not gonna be able to deliver.
Yeah.
And so, I think obviously the devil's in the details on making sure we get all these things done, but I think that's just an overwhelmingly positive thing that should make everybody walk around with a big smile on their face, that it's gonna be sweet.
Yeah,
He was
that's
kind of
awesome.
laughing at us, actually, I'll just be honest, he just was like, I don't understand why you are here. Like, usually it's like.
It's because we want to do it right, yeah. That's right, great
I
stuff.
will say, I don't have the arbor price, I just remembered Baird shot me a price he's working with, it's provided by our playground folks, and it was around 100.
He said it would be less than 107, he was working on delivery price, but.
Yeah, we didn't have the.
And that's the pergola?
For the pergola. But if we get the delivery price, we'll make sure that.
Okay, we'll have that Tuesday. All right,
Mayor.
comedy at its finest?
No.
Not yet?
No,
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna hold it.
I'd like to regress back to item number 16, if I may, and ask the Chief Hernandez a question. Chief, I understand this may be the last of the Crown Victorias, is that correct?
That's not correct. We have one left. It's, we bought it about 10 years ago, Chicago. It has very low mileage on it, and it is now an SRO car with about 60,000 miles. We're gonna continue to use it. I've actually asked the officer if he's ready to get out of the Crown Vic, and he said absolutely not. So
It's all,
we actually just put a little paint on it and restickered it to make it look good.
it's at the middle school directing traffic.
Yes, it's still a good car though.
Congratulations on nearing the end of an era.
I don't know if that's congratulations or not.
Item number 18, enter into an agreement with Davidson Engineering for services relating to Pioneer Village relocation. All right, thank you. Item number 19, enter into a use agreement with the Searcy Board of Public Utilities to construct and maintain trails at Riverside Park.
This is allowing us to build trails at Riverside Park on the water department's land, use agreement between us, the city, and the Searcy Board of Utilities on their grants to build some mountain bike trails.
And Don, thank you for your work on this too.
I'm representing the Searcy Board of Public Utilities, not you guys.
Right.
I'll say that the Board of Public Utilities has been great to work with. They're excited about the project, so I appreciate them getting all this done.
Absolutely.
And again, big trajectory pointing up and to the right, so exciting stuff.
They've also, we had our first meeting with them about the grant project on the trail that goes from the bike trail up to Highway 13 along Davis, that goes kind of along the levee, the old sewer pond. We had our first meeting with them. But it's just been really, piggyback on that. They've been super helpful. I'm super excited. We want to make sure that, we're being neighborly to them with, that it's a win-win. I think our trail alignment's actually not, we always thought that trail would go up on the levee, but after talking to them, I think had a good working meeting and we might move that off the levee a little bit so they can still access it. But I think all in all, it's going to be a really good partnership moving forward for the city.
Great, thank you. All right, brings us to our ordinances. Item number 20, rezone for the airport at Brantley Road from UT to I-2. This went before the planning commission. It was voted unanimously. This is city property that's being marketed by Forward Searcy. Thank you. Item number 21 is the budget adjustment ordinance.
Move forward.
All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda.
Mayor, I got another comment if I may.
Yes, sir.
I compliment whoever came up with this new format with the tabs and everything.
Oh, don't
It
say
is so
that, 'cause
much
he's
easier
not
to
gonna,
follow.
he's not gonna do that every meeting.
It is so much easier to follow and find the papers. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Also, just want to mention that tomorrow is Teresa Mercer's last day. So if you have a chance, please swing by City Hall and wish her blessings on her retirement. And I know we've got several guests with us in the crowd this evening, so thank you all for being here this evening. With that, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to do the state of the city. We are adjourned. Go, Mike.